Wow, what an audience, and so many pillars in between. But we'll take care of that in just a bit. So when I first heard that I'm being invited to speak at this arts conference, I had a major flashback to my high school days in Germany. That's where I grew up, because I was taught more art history, way more than I could appreciate back then as a teenager. And then I was sitting there and I talked to myself and I said, Aprajita, you should have paid more attention, because that's how life comes back to bite you later. And then I kept thinking, and I realized that this conference is also attended by people in the performing arts. Now, there may be a thing or two I know about the performing arts, and that is that I love dancing. This is me and a friend of mine from Dublin, Brona. We were dancing on an Indian Bollywood song 2 years ago at a Google Diwali event. And Diwali is coming up this weekend. Many of you may know this. So I thought we'd bring that a little bit, that spirit, into this room, because I was not going to come all the way from California to New York to an arts conference, get the spot after lunch, which is so hard, and have you all be in food coma. So, other than dancing, I only have one more skill that is somewhat artistic, which is I write a blog. I'm a blog author for movie reviews on the latest Bollywood movies. So every Friday evening, you'll find me in a movie theater, and then Friday night, I'll be writing this short review for each movie. Now, you see where this is going, right? If you combine all of this, you can probably by now make a guess that I'm a huge Bollywood enthusiast. So this is what we're going to do to get the energy flowing in this room. I want to ask you, who here has ever danced on a Bollywood song in their lives? Yeah, great, I see some hands. Anybody been to a club where a Bollywood song was played? Some more hands, yes. Okay, I need 10 brave volunteers to come join me on stage here. Keep your hands up, yes. Yes, one more. Come on, 8 more. I know you're all artists, come on. Great. Come on, yes! Big hands! I see one more, come on!
They're making...
Thank you, ladies. Men are just as welcome as women. So. Yay! All right, maybe 2 more, come on. Yes! And there we go. Woo, full house. Awesome. Can we please have some music? And by the way, we'll have a video playing in the back, which has some advanced moves. And just the fact that you're sitting there doesn't mean you don't get to participate. Please get up from your chairs. Make some elbow room. Join us either watching the video, or I'll be doing some beginner moves up here if those are too difficult for you. Okay? Let's play the music.
Oh, okay.
Sure. Light bulbs. Other side. Towel move. Wipe your back. Other way. Pick up the trash. Light bulbs. Great! Awesome! Big hand for everyone! Thank you! Fantastic! What a crowd! Wow, this is going to go on my resume. I made 600 people from the arts dance to a Bollywood song. This is amazing. Well, I wish this was my full-time job, but this isn't. I actually end up spending a lot more time inside this building in Mountain View, California than I do in a dance studio. And this is an image of our headquarters in California. It feels like a second home to me by now. I've spent more than 15 years, not necessarily in this building, but at our headquarters in Mountain View. And my current role is, as Eric was mentioning earlier, hold your horses, it's a long name. The title is Brand Marketing and Digital Transformation Evangelist. Now, that's quite a mouthful. What does an evangelist actually do at Google? If you were to listen to my team, it would be this. They gave me this t-shirt a couple of months ago. It says, an evangelist is somebody that solves problems that you didn't know you had in ways you don't understand. Well, that's how much they think of me. But in reality, I actually have the privilege of speaking to some of our largest advertisers on a daily basis. We have an executive briefing center in Mountain View where I get to meet the CEOs and CMOs of some of the world's largest advertisers. And I really have the privilege of understanding how technology works and how that's being applied to the advertising world, and how that's going to change search marketing, display marketing, video marketing, offline to online, all these amazing things that technology is enabling today. And then I get to sit down with these big brands, and then we test and iterate and test some more and iterate some more. So hopefully I can share with you some condensed learnings from what I do day in, day out, and how that applies to your businesses. The 5 things I've been talking a lot about this year are these topics: assistive experiences, machine learning, personalized marketing, lots of video everywhere, and then last but not least, immersive experiences. And if by now all of you have sank a few inches into your chair because you're like, oh, we haven't done enough with this, or we don't understand how to do this, believe me, you are not alone. Some of the largest and most sophisticated advertisers that I talk to still haven't figured out how to use all of this. But we're taking baby steps, we're getting there. The most important part is to have an open mind, understand how these things work, and maybe find little small projects where you can get started. So let's start talking about assistive experiences. How many of you have Alexa or a Google Home or one of those devices in your houses? Yeah? Do you use them on your phone as well? Yeah? And that's not a rare situation. Many of us carry these mini computers around with us, right? I can guarantee you every single person in this room has at least one of these, if not 2. And believe me, I'm not carrying this around because I have anxiety and I feel this is my 79th organ. It's just because I'm going to do some live demos. This little device that we carry around with us everywhere to go on social media, check emails, do rather basic things, do you know that this little device has more power to compute than all of NASA's combined computing power in the year 1969? This can do 10 times more than all of their computing power in 1969. So this little device is really enabling us as marketers to redesign and rethink the end-to-end consumer experience. Because every single person has one of these. And we can show up at the right time with the right message, with the most personalized thing that will convert them to become our patron. And users actually reward that type of behavior. I mean, we all know taxis have been around since the turn of the century, and they have been operating pretty much the same way. Nothing has changed in the taxi industry until Uber came around. There was a massive bleeding. The consumer base moved from taxis to Uber pretty much overnight. Same thing in the hotel industry. Right? Hotels were doing well. There's huge global chains out there. But when Airbnb happened, they started bleeding, and they had to innovate. Same thing with marketplaces. I mean, marketplaces, they exist since biblical times. They've always been around. But then Amazon came and made things much better, much easier, much more assistive. And today, Amazon is kicking butt, and when you talk to retailers, they're all crying. That's because all of these companies, one, they had the privilege of starting much later, right? So they could redesign themselves from scratch. But also, they thought in way more assistive ways than any of these other old industries. But I always say it's still not too late. A lot of businesses are catching on to that and saying, we may have been in business for 100 years, 150 years, but we can still be more assistive and get some of that market share back. And we are seeing this in the hotel industry, for example, with Hilton. Any of you stayed at a Hilton recently? Yes? Do you have the app? So you will probably know how amazing that app is. You download it once, it connects to your profile, and then you use the app to make a reservation. You can even pick which room you want, if you've ever been to that hotel before. You can see the views from the room and pick based on that. Then once you get to the hotel, you use this as your room key. You don't have to go to the reception anymore. And let's say you are a picky sleeper, and you prefer a certain type of pillow that's softer or harder, or you need an extra bottle of shampoo or whatever that may be. You can request those amenities before you even get there through the app. And then when you're ready to check out, you don't have to go to the reception anymore, or even ask them to send you an email with the bill. You check out through the app. It's just automated based on your GPS location. Once they know today's your checkout date and you're far enough away from the hotel, they have automatically checked you out. That's what assistive experiences are. And the entire idea why Hilton even did this was they knew that when a consumer comes to their hotel, they don't like standing in line, listening to the person tell them about, here's the spa, there's the swimming pool, there's the restaurant, they're open until this time. I don't want that. I really just want to get from the door of the hotel to the door of my room. Human interactions are not welcome all the time anymore. I know it's strange, right? But I will give you a generational example here. So I have a younger sister. She is about 10 years younger, a little less than 10, and we live together. And 2 months ago, I bought the house in Santa Clara, so we were moving. It was moving weekend, Sunday afternoon. We hadn't had time for lunch yet, and it's 3 p.m. So both of us get really hungry. We decide to drive to the Taco Bell, which was not too far from there. Now it's 3 p.m. in a Taco Bell. It's completely empty. By the way, there aren't many Taco Bells here in New York, right? I do miss that here a little bit. That's my pickup snack. So at 3 p.m., we walk into that Taco Bell. There's nobody inside. I see at the register there's this lady standing. She's smiling at me. She has nothing else to do. So I start walking towards her. And then I feel this pull on my T-shirt from the back. And then I look back, and my sister is literally pulling me away from the register. And I ask her what's going on. She's like, why are you going there? There's a digital kiosk here. We can put our order in here. I'm like, but she's there. She has nothing else to do, and I can just talk to her. Like, yeah, but you can also just put it in here, and they'll get the same order. And that was my aha moment. And she's only 10 years younger, but she doesn't even want to talk to this person who has nothing else to do right now. It was just very eye-opening for me, and that's so true for every experience consumers have. When I'm going to a show and I have to stand in line to get my ticket or even get it checked at the gate or go through security, those are very, very annoying experiences. So look at those experiences in your businesses and try to take out the friction as much as you can. Obviously, you can't take everything out, but there may be a few things that you can make more assistive for your consumers. Speaking of voice, I will also show you some assistive examples of the arts world. So I was visiting New York about 3-4 years ago, and a friend from Germany was also here, so we decided to go to the Museum of Modern Arts. We were on the 3rd floor. Anybody here from the MoMA? No? Great museum, check it out. So we were on the 3rd floor, and there's all these great European artists with their exhibitions there, right? So we're standing in front of this Picasso, really nice painting. And because both of us grew up in Germany and had all this art history in school, we're like, I kind of remember that Picasso has a middle name, but I'm not sure what it was. And my friend says, no, I don't think he has a middle name. I've only ever heard Pablo Picasso. So to settle the dispute, I pulled out my phone and I just asked Google through voice search. This is what I did. I'm going to hold this close to my mic so you can hear it and see it if I connect it. Okay, it's connected. I'm going to do a voice search. What is Pablo Picasso's full name?
Pablo Picasso's full name was Pablo Diego José Francisco de Paula Juan Nepomuceno María de los Remedios Cipriano de la Santísima Trinidad Ruiz y Picasso.
I mean, no wonder I did not remember what his middle name was. He had 17 of them, right? So that was one thing. And then I got curious and I wanted to know further, so I asked, who was he married to?
He was married to Olga Koklova and Jacqueline Roque.
Did you notice that I did not ask who was Pablo Picasso married to? I asked who was he married to? And that's the power of natural language processing. It took us a lot of time to figure out how do we make a machine understand things the way a human does. Because a machine can only normally understand who was Pablo Picasso married to because it has the full context. But in this case, it had to remember what my previous query was, what the he refers to in this query, and stitch that all together for me. So if we're that advanced with technology, why aren't we making better use of it in our businesses? I'll show you another example here. I was in Canada just a month ago in Winnipeg. I was invited for a travel industry conference. And at the gala dinner that night, I met this wonderful lady. She is the director of marketing at the Human Rights Museum in Winnipeg. That's the only museum of its kind, by the way, and probably the only one in the world that I would want to go back to and spend 3 days in. It is incredible, not only from a content perspective, but also from the technology that they're using there. So she walked me through the entire exhibit. There's like 7 floors. And every single floor was using some sort of technology that was even beyond the Silicon Valley, to be honest. This one particularly had to do with voice. So they have this area with little video screens, and they wanted to educate people about Rohingya Canadian populations. So they recorded little video clips of these people that live in Canada. And now when you go up to the screen, it lights up automatically through detection. And then there's a list of questions you can verbally ask, and they will match up the answer by showing you the right video. So it's a voice-activated display. Or you can just come up with any question related to them, and if they don't have the answer, they will try to find you the closest match through machine learning, or they will collect those questions that you're asking, and the next time you go there, they'll have those answers ready for you. Incredible way for them to curate content, but also for the user to have more interactivity. And this is just one of the many examples that they're using. So this is how voice is playing a big, big role, even in arts. Voice search in general, there's always this curiosity, how big is voice now? And we released voice search about 6-7 years ago at the Google I/O conference, which is our developer conference every summer in Mountain View. And at that time, I still remember, I was part of the audience. I was sitting there, and when this was announced, I looked around, and everybody was rolling their eyes. They're like, who is going to pick up their phone in public and talk to it? That's so stupid, right? Today, we receive, in the United States, 20% of our queries through voice search. 5 billion Google queries a day, and out of those, 20% are through voice. And this is just for the US. If you go to countries in Asia, it's even higher. Simple reason. Script in Asian countries is a little bit more difficult, right? If you look at Hindi, the Devanagari script, or Thai, or Chinese, Mandarin, any of these scripts are much harder to type than to speak. So people pick up their phone a lot more and just speak. In India, the percentage of voice searches of overall searches is 38%. And that's only going to grow. So we as marketers have to be prepared when people are asking something of us versus typing. One, the queries are going to be much longer. They're going to be most likely more complicated. How do we show up? We don't want to just reply in text form. We also want to have a voice. And I think that's where brands really have to put a lot of effort behind right now. Even big brands like Amazon and Best Buy and all these retailers, they're thinking, what if somebody is talking to us through voice? What type of personality are we as a business? Are we a funny business? Are we a quirky business? Are we serious? What if somebody asks us who is going to be the next president? It's not even related to our business, but what do we do in that case? Do we reply? Do we say we can't answer this question? Do we make a joke out of it? Like, what do we do? So those are the type of questions that we as marketers really need to be prepared for because of this proliferation of voice. Another interesting fact, it's not only the young people who are using voice. I mean, I don't consider myself young anymore, and I use voice more than text every single day. But even if you look at the stats across the United States, and this is true for global, by the way, as well, 50% of teens are using voice every single day. And 41% of adults are using it every single day. And that's not just for certain type of queries related to certain industries, that's really across the board. So figuring that out is going to be crucial. I actually did a little fun search before I was coming here. My phone already knew through the booking that I had for my hotel where I'm staying. It knew I'll be here at the Metropolitan West this afternoon. I just asked my phone, any good Broadway musicals around here? And it popped all these little red dots for me right there. Now that was a generic search, but imagine somebody is asking something very specific to your business. Try that out on voice search sometime and see how you're showing up. Is that the type of experience that you would like to see if you were the consumer? I found another very interesting thing as I was doing research for this. I didn't know this existed, but there's a very cool, what we call action on Google. It's basically an automated voice chatbot, or voice talk bot, I guess. I can pull up my phone and just ask any facts about art or learn something new about art that I may not have known before. So the way it works is I will go to connect my phone first so you can see it along with hearing it. All right. Let's talk to facts of arts.
Okay, let's get facts of arts.
Welcome to Facts of Arts. Now I'm gonna tell you some interesting facts about arts of ancient times. About which form of art you want to know?
Dance.
In 1996, David Meenan set the record for the farthest dance when he tap danced over 23 miles, 37 kilometers. Do you want to know more facts of dance or wanna pick another form of art?
I'm going to stop for now because this can go on for hours. And as I was, making sure that this is working and I can do the demo here, you have no idea how much I learned about art that I did not know before. This is incredible. And imagine, these are moments that people have when they're on the bus, when they're commuting, when they have like 5 minutes waiting at the doctor or picking up groceries. Right? These are things you do in between, but the type of knowledge you can gain through this, that's incredible. Now, obviously, Facts of Art is a generic action on Google. It tells you about arts in general, but you could design something like this just for your organization. As I walk into your doors, I could start talking to one of your bots that walks me through an exhibit, or tells me more about the dance performance you're going to show me, or the Broadway play, whatever it is. You can customize the content to what you want to educate me about. And it's not that hard to do, actually. Now, I've told you about how we have had this evolution from text searches to voice searches for obvious reasons. But we are seeing a third thing now. And the third evolution is from text to voice to visual search. Have any of you ever used Google Lens? Yes, a few hands. I love using it because I love shoes. So the other day, a colleague of mine, she was sitting at her desk and having a video conference with somebody else. I saw her wearing these amazing shoes that I wanted to ask her where she got them from, so I could also get them. But I didn't have the patience to wait the 45 minutes that her conference was going to take. So I just took an image of her shoes, put Google Lens on it. It showed me exactly where to buy it, how much it cost. And by the time she was done with her call, I had already ordered those shoes. I mean, really, that's how easy it is. I'll give you an example of Google Arts and Culture. So Many of you may have heard of it. If not, I'll show you a video in a little bit. But Google Arts and Cultures also uses a lot of imagery and visual APIs to make sense of the world around us, because arts is a very, very visual thing. In fact, let me try one more live demo. So as I said, I moved 2 months ago, and I bought a new couch. I bought a nice fluffy pillow on it. Now I wanted to find more pillows like that. So what I did is I took an image of, and I'm going to pull this up before I connect, because otherwise you're going to see all my other crazy photos. So, hold on. So I'm going into my photos, finding that photo of my pillow here, and now I'm connecting. Should come up in a second. There we go. So this is the couch, this is the pillow. Now I wanted to find something to match with either this pillow, it could be another pillow, it could be a rug, but something in that mustard color tone. So I just put Google Lens on it, which is that little button, the second one from the right. It analyzes the image. And unfortunately, the first thing it did, it showed me your blinds look like a Ralph Lauren dress or whatever that dress is. So I said, that was not what I was intending, but I can crop that image. I can say, I don't want you to analyze that part of the image. I want you to analyze this pillow. So now it analyzes that and shows me that these are all the other pillows that would match, or there were some rugs underneath as well. The beauty about this entire thing is, sometimes I know what to search for and I can type that keyword. Sometimes I know what it's called and I can speak to my phone and search for it. But sometimes I just don't even know what I'm looking for or what that thing is called. And that's when the eyes of my phone, the camera, becomes my medium of searching. And that's exactly what's happening with Google Lens. We are seeing this used so much in, in gardening, for example. A lot of people love a certain type of plant, but they don't know what it's called. They will just hold their phone against it and be like, oh, where can I buy this plant? Or even in medical research. Actually, Google is working on something right now. It's in beta, I believe, where if you have a skin disease, dermatologists are not always able to tell in your first visit what it is, and then it may get worse and worse and worse. But through machine learning and this camera technology, you can now take an image. Let's say you have a rash somewhere, or some cut, or some other dermatological issue. You can take an image of that, and based on all the data that we have about similar images and the diagnosis of those images, we can then tell you with far more accuracy what that disease is and what the treatment should be. So it's being used in all sorts of fields, but arts probably is the one field where it can be used better than anywhere else, because it's far more visual than any other industry that I know. I'll show you how Google Arts and Culture is using visuals. This is a video. Can we play this from the back in case it's not working from here? Great.
Inspiration is spread around the globe, across space and time, in the places we love and with the people of our past. Art has changed the way we see the world and the way we see each other. We started with simple tools for food and fire, and then carved statues of myths and heroes. And we built monuments to last forever. There is so much to see, learn, and experience. With the Google Arts and Culture app, you can immerse yourself in 360-degree views using Google Cardboard. Or zoom in to reveal the secrets of a masterpiece. Discover inspirational moments, iconic people, and artistic wonders. Search by time or even color. Save your favorites and share them with the world. Explore more with Google Arts and Culture. Download the app and get inspired every day. Where will you start?
last part of it really demonstrated very, very well how visual imagery and color detection and shape detection can be used to curate art better. And we are working with a lot of museums, a lot of art galleries to do just that. Now, we talked about assistive experiences. Let's talk a little bit about machine learning. I can guarantee you there's nobody in this room who has never been confronted with machine learning at their jobs even. It's not just a buzzword anymore. It's actually being used for real life implications. The problem, though, is most people still don't have a very clear understanding of what machine learning is. And the simplest way to put it, the way I learned is from engineers who were way too complicated, and then I had to dumb it down for myself, was earlier when you used to tell a computer what to do, you had to program line by line what the computer is supposed to do. Everything was a line of code. With machine learning, you don't need to do that anymore. All you tell the machine now is, this is your objective, and this is a bunch of data. Keep the objective in mind, look at all this data, and learn how to figure this problem out by yourself. This is called auto machine learning. So just based on the objective, you let the machine do its work, and incrementally it gets so much better than a human can ever get because it detects nuances that we as humans can just not see or not hear. There's many examples, even in the medical field, where machine learning, retina diabetes detection, for example, that is all done much better through machine learning than through the human detection. Machine learning in the advertising world means all of this complexity that we all know. Anybody here in digital marketing campaigns day in, day out? Yeah, most of you, many of you, or at least at some point in your careers you have been. I did that too. It was really hard to juggle all of these variables all at the same time. Right? How do you even optimize? You're dialing one thing up and one thing down, and you don't know anymore what to optimize for. The beauty of machine learning is, over the last, I would say, 5 years, all of this stuff has been automated. Search advertising today is, I would say, 98% automated. It's a set it and forget it. You give the system your goals, and then on the other side, you get your results. If you don't get your results, you change the input, but you don't have to do anything in that wheel anymore. And a lot of people say, yeah, for search advertising, that's easy. It's performance advertising. It's black and white. You put certain money in, you get a certain ROI out, and you can regulate that. But as we speak, a few colleagues of mine and I are writing a white paper called Modern Marketing for 2025. And the idea behind that white paper, the main thesis is that by the year 2025, even brand marketing can be almost fully automated. The argument often is then, well, but brand marketing is so much more creative. It has to do with ideas and creativity. How will you automate that? There's many examples, actually, where automation and machine learning is being used to generate creativity. I didn't bring this ad with me because it has nothing to do with the industry, but check out, there's a Lexus ad that has been designed using complete codeless machine learning. Nobody told the system what to put together in the ad. It created the whole script of the brand ad all by itself based on the past performance of their old ads. So a lot of it can be automated in the future, and the companies that figure it out first are the ones who are going to reap the biggest benefits. Our goal really with this is, right now, this is a BCG study, a result from that, 80% of our marketers' time, be it at an agency or at your own companies, you spend that as a digital marketer on turning the little knobs. What should the keyword be? What should the bid be? Is this performing high enough for me? Should I replace this with something else? That is tactical manual work. Our goal is to not focus your time on that anymore, but instead have 80% of time to do the strategic stuff, which is, by the way, more fun to do too. So let the machines do the hard part, that manual part, and let us do the fun, the more strategic part. I'll show you a completely different implication of machine learning. And in this case, there's a company called Ubisoft, which anybody who's from France may know. They're a very big gaming company in France. They had a game called Assassin's Creed Origins. And based on the idea, it was based about going through Egypt or ancient Egypt and playing a game in that environment. They said, we want to give back to gaming, but also to the archaeology community. So they partnered up with us and worked on a machine learning project where they tried to look at old hieroglyphics and translated them into modern language, all based on machine learning. So once you give the machine learning tool enough data to detect what a bird means or what some of the triangles means, once it understands what that language is, it can read whole text that people drew on the walls back in the days. So all of that is now automated. And I'll show you a video of how they did that.
Enrich people's lives is at the core of Ubisoft's mission. And with Assassin's Creed, we achieve that by making history everyone's playground. In Assassin's Creed Origins, we are taking players to the most ancient time period we've ever explored yet, Cleopatra's ancient Egypt. And while working on the game with Egyptologists, we've realized how difficult it is to unlock the secrets of that time.
New technology have had a major impact across so many academic disciplines that in the field of humanities, it given birth to a new field of studies called the digital humanities. But in the same time, translating hieroglyphic has remained almost the same for the last 200 years since the discovery of the Rosetta Stones. So we can say that we need new digital research tools in the field of Egyptology.
So we've reached out to our partners to leverage the newest technology and ultimately help historians in their work. This is how the Hieroglyphics Initiative project started.
Machine learning is a form of artificial intelligence that aims to give computers the ability to learn through training across a large data set. So the first step in the project will be extracting hieroglyphic patterns from a wide variety of original sources before working on the tools and algorithms that can learn to recognize individual hieroglyphs automatically. Then we can analyze existing translations, matching hieroglyphic sequences to unlock their meaning.
TensorFlow is a project to open source the machine learning code that Google has created for many of our own products, such as Google Photos and the Assistant. Our aim is to help researchers and developers collaborate, share code, and use that machine learning infrastructure. Helping more people interact with ancient languages is really a fascinating application of this technology.
The Hieroglyphic Initiative not only has the potential to save Egyptologists time, but also could unlock the magic of hieroglyphic for a new audience around the world.
We welcome everyone willing to participate, to help us gather data, and ultimately create this amazing connection between two things that we love: history and technology.
Imagine the power of something like this, and this is machine learning as it stands today. Every 2 years, machine learning doubles in computing capacity and how fast it can be. In fact, if any of you have been following the news recently, just a few days ago, Google announced that we have achieved what's called quantum supremacy, which in easy to understand terms just means that something that would take a machine thousands of years to solve can now be solved in minutes or even seconds using quantum computing. That's the first breakthrough, and with that type of machine power, imagine the type of information that can be curated for each of your businesses. The amazing things you can do to make consumers more willing to come and visit you or do business with you. Let's shift gears to personalized marketing. Personalized marketing is something that used to be creepy. About 4 or 5 years ago, I used to work on a remarketing product, and anytime I called up one of my brand advertisers and I said, you should try out remarketing, they'd be like, no way, I can't creep out my consumers. I can't follow them around with the same shoe that they just saw. That is creepy. That has completely changed now. Everybody understands the need to have to do personalized marketing. We have so much data around us. Every single one of you, I can guarantee you, sits on a boatload of data about your consumers. In fact, there's this very interesting stat that I still baffle with every time I hear it. It is that in the last 2 years alone, 90% of the world's digital data has been created. Let that sink in one more time. 90% of the world's digital data has been created in the last 2 years. But you know what the biggest tragedy is? Only less than 1% of that data is being used to do personalized marketing. Not because of legal reasons, but because of a mess of data that we all sit on. And we have too much of it, and we don't know how to make sense of it. So in the easiest way, and I know it's easier said than done, what we really need to do is we need to first consolidate all our data. Right? It sits in silos. Even inside a smaller organization, you may have some data sitting with billing, some with vendors, some with purchasing, wherever the data is, that needs to be in one place. And then it's not just enough to have data, you need to develop insights from that data. You need to analyze that. So what do I learn from the data? And that's where machine learning comes in really handy. It can develop those insights for you. And then you scale that data. You send it back to all these teams that may require it, right? Because now you have these really rich insights. And then last but not least, then you use it to personalize your experiences for consumers. And that could be ads, but that could be anything else. You have so much about me in my phone. As I walk through your storefront or your theater or whatever business you're running, if I'm walking with my phone through there, you already know, oh, this is a Prajita, she has bought 3 Broadway tickets from us in the last 1 year. What can we do for her that is special? All the data is available, it's just about how do we make use of it. And that's, again, as I said, easier said than done. It requires very clear vision. It requires very robust technical infrastructure, and it requires relentless execution. Right? The first two people will still get around, but the relentless execution part, that's where most brands are failing. They'll start a little project and then fiddles out, and then they'll start something else. But sticking with that project, I think, is really, really valuable. Let's take an example here. And this will really highlight the need for personalized marketing. So I took 3 personas here, and they're all typing in the same search query, Second City, based out of Chicago. Are they here? I saw them on the list. Yes, right there. So let's assume the gentleman on the left, he just flew into Chicago O'Hare. He's at the airport, and he's on his way to the hotel. He just booked an Uber, so we know that. And he's typing in Second City. In the middle, we have a woman. She lives in France. She's in her 30s, and she's just researching a trip to Chicago with her girlfriends, maybe 6 months down the line. So she's also typing in Second City. Things to do while she's there with her friends, right? And then on the right, we have another woman. She is a corporate events manager, and she's planning an offsite for her team, and she wants to book an improv event with Second City, which, by the way, I did with my team once, and I loved it. So it was awesome. So now they're all typing the same query. If Second City shows all 3 of them the same ad, text ad, video ad, whatever ad, do you think that's valuable? Probably not, right? We know so much more about these people. We have all these intent signals that tells me, this guy, he's already in Chicago. And based on his past behavior, we know he likes experiences like these. So he's very likely to book a ticket very soon. The woman in the middle, she's not even sure whether she's going to come to Chicago. And maybe if she does, that's 6 months out. And the woman on the right, she's going to drop a ton of money with us very soon. And it's not even her money, so she's not going to be very price sensitive. Right? So how do we show up differently for each one of these? We have to do this in our marketing, through our messages, but just as important as that is how do you show up on your website? Are you personalized when each of these 3 people show up on your website? Because 40% people say they will spend more if that experience is personalized. That's a huge number. And that's just a little tweak based on the data you already have. So think about it. How can you make use of it? A great example of that, anybody uses Spotify here while they run? Yeah, oh, so many people, wow. So Spotify, for those of you who haven't used it while running, has a feature. Spotify, first of all, they knew that music is very personal to people, and their exercise routines are very personal. And they wanted to combine those two, so they used just a little sensor that is already built into mobile phones. And they said, you can now pick what music you're going to listen to based on the pace of your running. So there's a little button that you select, and it will either match songs from your existing playlist to your pace of running, or it will match some new songs that you may have never heard from other people's playlists. Pretty amazing feature. Right? Easy to do because the technology already existed. They just had to make that come together to provide that as a feature for their consumers. Let's talk about growth of video, the fourth pillar of all of these tech trends. So I'll do a little trivia question here. How many hours a day do you think the average global consumer watches online video? Just a wild guess. 6 hours? 2. The average consumer, you're right, the heavy consumers are watching about 4.5 hours. The average global consumer, and that, again, is global and everybody, is at 67 minutes right now. By next year, that will increase another 25%, so we'll be at 84 minutes per person, every single person on the earth. This number from the year 2011 to 2006 to 2011 went 10x. Video consumption in those years, in those 5 years, went up 10x. Imagine how much video is being consumed. In fact, we know that for every person or if 100 people are coming to Google search, in the same session, 85 of those people will also switch over to YouTube and do the same search there because they want that video content as an answer. So being present in both instances through text answers and video answers is just as important these days. Another factor that's kind of helping the growth of online video is the fact that a lot of people in the United States are becoming cord cutters. I used to have Comcast for the longest time, and I'm so glad Comcast isn't in the room, but I hated their service. It was so bad. And one day I just decided, I don't watch much anyways. Everything else I can get through my Netflix and Hulu and Amazon Prime and YouTube Premium and all these subscriptions. So I became a cord cutter. I don't have cable subscription anymore. And I'm not the only one. As you can see, a fourth of the United States in this age range under 49 doesn't have a cable subscription anymore. The other 47% are light TV viewers. These are people that have all these other streaming services, but still kept their cable subscription for one channel that they watch, but they watch it maybe once or twice a month. So if we are spending so much money on showing our ads on these channels that nobody is watching, that's, in your terms, it's like playing this beautiful aria in a rapidly emptying opera house. Your art and craft is still amazing, but if nobody is listening or watching, what's the point? The only problem becomes a lot of people don't know how to value video in their marketing mix. Right? Because you have these buckets, you say, I'm investing this much in video, I expect this much of an ROI. You do the same thing for display advertising and the same thing for search advertising. But the reality of things are that all these channels have an interplay. Because you're doing video, that will have an impact on search. Because you're doing search, that will have an impact on display. Because as a human, I don't categorize this. I see maybe 3 or 4 messages from you on different channels, and then I convert. So the attribution problem becomes big. But for video, we have done a bunch of tests, and we've seen that your search conversion volume goes up if you add video to your mix. So does the conversion rate, and you have a lower cost per acquisition. And these are averages. They differ by industry, obviously. But you wouldn't know until you tried to attribute it that way. Most companies just They will just look at the silos and be like, oh, video isn't working. It has a much higher ROI or much lower ROI than search. But we forget that some of the ROI of search is also being driven by video. I will show you an example of a video ad that used personalized messaging. Very cleverly done, so I'm sure there's many fans of Friends in this room. Netflix acquired the rights to air Friends in France a few years ago, and I think now Hulu acquired them very recently. But when they did, they had this problem of how do we make such a cultural show that everybody loved so many years ago relevant again in today's day and time? Right? Many younger people may not know about this show. How do we show them how fun this show was? So they used little snippets of episodes from Friends and paired them up with the type of searches people would do on Google or YouTube or other online platforms. So every time you search for something related to that, they would highlight an ad that featured a very matching clip from the episodes of Friends. And this is what it looked like.
Friends was the most iconic show of the 90s. Everyone talked about Rachel's hair, this song,
Smelly cat,
and Joey's famous pickup line.
How you doing?
So how does Netflix relaunch a show that finished 10 years ago when people are busy watching lots of other stuff? Introducing the Friendly Pre-Roll campaign. The first pre-roll campaign that is responsive to the videos you're looking for on YouTube. Because no matter what you're watching, there's something in Friends related to it. That's why if you're looking for cute cats, you'll get a pre-roll of Rachel showing off her hairless cat.
It's a cat.
That is not a cat.
If you look for makeup tutorials, you'll get a clip of Joey advertising makeup in Japan.
Ichiban, lipstick for men.
And if you're looking for dance moves, you'll see Monica and Ross doing their famous dance routine. We tagged thousands of videos with YouTube's top searches, but we didn't stop there.
Oh my God!
We even created daily pre-rolls in real time related to the world's trending topics.
I never seen before. You used to call me on my cell phone.
Helping Friends become the it show in France almost 10 years later. All with a simple pre-roll campaign.
So the searches that people were doing weren't even related to the show, but that was the point. They wanted to create awareness about the show through regular searches that people would do, and that's how they were able to accomplish that. Last topic, I know we're about at the end of time, but I'm going to go through this really quickly. Immersive experiences is something that's gaining ground more and more. It's not as commonplace yet, but these devices are giving us a lot of possibilities. We can do virtual reality through these devices if we slide them into one of those viewers, or we can do augmented reality. And the difference is really virtual reality means you are transporting yourself into some other reality, and augmented reality means you're taking objects and bringing that into your own reality. So we are expecting computing to be everywhere around us, right? These days I can walk into a conference room at Google, and I can just speak to the room and be like, what's the next item on the agenda, and some device will speak to me. It could be my phone, my laptop, Google Assistant, the speakers built into the wall. Even when I wake up in the morning, I have a little Google Mini on my bedside table, but I also have a smart Nest thermostat, I have a Sonos speaker that has an assistant built in, and when I need to snooze my alarm, I just say snooze it, and then one of these devices will react and do it for me. So these expectations are being carried into expectations we have of businesses as well. We want those very deep immersive experiences. And we did a partnership with Versailles, the Palace of Versailles recently. I went there twice growing up in Germany, and I absolutely loved it. But I've never seen it this way. In 3D, I can walk into the palace and see rooms that I didn't have access to when I'm physically there. And it's a very unlikely partnership if you think about it, right? Very traditional, old kind of, the administration there is very, very orthodox about what can you see, what can you not see. And yet, they partnered up with something like this to give people access to something they would otherwise never be able to see. And this is what the partnership looks like. It's in French, but there's subtitles.
on ne pouvait pas imaginer ce que serait ce partenariat il y a 5 ans. Ça pouvait paraître étonnant à l'époque d'associer Google et Versailles, tant les deux institutions pouvaient sembler éloignées et même antinomiques. Et je crois que c'est tout le contraire.
Pour ce nouveau projet, nous avons voulu ajouter une dimension d'expérience et d'immersion au contenu que nous avons développé autour du château de Versailles. Depuis les premières captations Street View dans la galerie des glaces et des jardins, jusqu'à cette nouvelle exploration immersive du château, Google Arts and Culture a fait entrer les technologies les plus performantes dans l'univers et la magie de Versailles. Cette expérience de réalité virtuelle est le point culminant de tous les développements technologiques que nous avons apportés à ce monument emblématique.
Ce qui rend cette expérience unique, c'est la taille des captures que nous avons réalisées sur site à Versailles. Nous avons capturé 24 pièces sur 12 jours. Cela nous a permis de reconstituer plus de 7000 m². Et si on compte les murs et les plafonds, ça fait une totalité de 36 000 m² de surface reconstituée pour le modèle. Nous utilisons une technique qui s'appelle la photogrammétrie. Et c'est une technique qui, à partir de photos, est capable de reconstituer un modèle 3D. Nous avons pris 132 000 photos, car chaque détail de Versailles doit être photographié selon plusieurs angles, car c'est ça qui permet au logiciel de reconstituer la 3D.
Cet outil de la photogrammétrie permettait d'aller plus loin dans une connaissance encore plus approfondie des œuvres, de se déplacer dans le château de Versailles d'une manière beaucoup plus importante qu'on ne l'a jamais fait. C'est une manière de montrer ou de regarder mieux notre histoire et notre patrimoine dans sa diversité la plus extrême.
It's pretty incredible. I've been to this place twice, and when this was released a couple of, I think, weeks ago, I spent a whole hour going through the device, through the experience in my phone. You know, that was just so fascinating, even for somebody who's seen it physically. So complementing it with this technology doesn't mean you're driving away business from the actual experience. It just means you're whetting people's appetite to then go and see it in person. Key takeaways as we are ending. Number one, consumers expect the best, fastest, most seamless, most frictionless experiences. And the problem becomes we as marketers used to just think inside our box and say, we just need to be better than any other arts organization out there and we'll stand out. That's not true anymore. Because I, as a consumer, will compare you to an Amazon, to an Uber, to a Starbucks, to all these amazing experiences I have in life, and I'll say, why aren't you giving me the same amazing experience? I don't differentiate as a consumer, so you as a marketer can't differentiate anymore. Second, we believe machine learning is going to be transformational. And I'm not saying you have to start with quantum computing and all that fancy stuff. Start with some basic idea. What data problem can machine learning solve for you? Or maybe you don't even know the answer, but come to us with your data problem, and I can guarantee you, at least half of the time, if not more, we can provide you with a solution to solve that data problem. And then last but not least, think outside of individual channels. It's not about video, not about display, not about search, not about your offline and online. It's all an integrated play because one impacts the other. So loosen those silos, break those walls, and start thinking holistically. And with that, I can maybe answer a couple questions if we have time, or maybe not.
Unfortunately. Another huge thank you to Prajanta for the presentation.
Thank you so much.